how to overcome your fear of women now, which I think kind of like fits in this whole goal, because like a lot of people who are new, they have an issue with even getting out there to approach initially. And so I think a lot of people would like to know this, like, how do they overcome their fear of women?
You know what I think the biggest thing is accepting that it's a universal fear. It's the fear of rejection, right? It's the fear of the performance. Like, oh, if I actually do succeed and she ends up naked, am I going to be able to, do it right? Or maybe I won't get hard or whatever. So it's the fear of rejection and the fear of success, both. The first step to overcoming that is admitting that you have that. It's perfectly normal, and everyone has that. Because I hear a lot of guys say, I don't have approach anxiety. That's not my issue. I don't have approach anxiety. Do you approach? No. Well, then you have approach anxiety. Because if you didn't have approach anxiety and you saw a hot girl, there's no reason you wouldn't approach her, right? It's a rationalization you're going to make. Well, I would get a bad reputation, or, there's no point. It's all beneath that. It's all approach anxiety, right? It's all that fear of rejection. We all have it. It's universal. And the only way to overcome it is to face it head on. There's no way to trick yourself. There's no way to manipulate yourself. There's no easy way out. The only way to overcome your fear of women is to put yourself into experiences with them that will be challenging at first, that will be anxiety provoking at first. But anxiety, think of it as something that makes you feel alive. Think of it as excitement, right? You feel anxious, you feel stressed because there's something great that could happen. Yeah. That's why you feel that way. You don't feel anxious because you suck or because something's wrong with you. You feel anxious because this is a beautiful woman. You don't know what could happen, right? She could potentially be your girlfriend. She could be the mother of your children. Mm-hmm. She could be part of your harem, whatever direction you go with it. But there's potential for something. It's exciting. It's an opportunity for growth, because every time you approach a girl and you don't want to, you are overcoming and chipping away at your ego. Mm-hmm. So you have to admit that you do have a fear of women, that you have a fear of intimacy, of getting rejected. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. We all have that. We're kind of taught to hide ourselves from our fears, to pretend we don't have them. That's part of the culture, right? But as soon as you accept that, then you can start to change. But if you deny that you have this fear in the first place, you're screwed. You're not going to give yourself the leeway. You're not going to open up a lane in your mind to where you could actually change that. You're going to prevent yourself from taking any action in the first place.
Yeah. I'll say this too. I mentioned this actually at the beginning of this video. To get good with girls, you have to change who you are. And so you have a lifetime of being a certain person. You've been the person you are right now your entire life. And now what's going on is you have fear of ego death. You have to approach a girl, which is an action that you would never take. So guess what happens? You shake, you sweat, you overthink everything. Your brain tries to come up with reasons for you not to take the action that's good for you. So guess what? If the smarter you are too, the worse this is, because it'll come up with more elaborate reasons for why you shouldn't approach a girl. Come up with these you smart motherfuckers out there. You guys are really smart. Well, guess what? You're working with all the extra RAM, and the extra RAM you have is extra RAM for your brain to come up with some wild fucking soundingly very reasonable, very very reasonable things for you not to go and approach a girl. And guess what? It's all bullshit. Anything that's stopping you from doing anything that's good for you is bullshit. Any reason you have not to approach a girl, bullshit. And dude, we honestly are constantly trying to talk ourselves into approaching more women. We're not always in the pocket either. We're not always like fucking just flying through the club. And we accept that. We accept that. And we play ourselves where we're at. If you are having a hard time approaching women, understand that it's because it goes against your ego. It's like, this is not who I am. So your ego is trying to keep you consistent with past action. So how do you trick this part of your brain to try and keep you consistent with past action and taking actions that are good for you? Take the smallest integer of action. I call it tiered approaching. If you can't go all the way to go and approaching a girl and be like, hey, what's your name? You're totally my fucking type. You're sexy, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. If you can't do that, give her a passing compliment. I do that. The majority of my approaches nowadays are passing compliments. And let's say, like, hypothetically, if you give a passing compliment, a girl likes you, guess what? You roll back and be like, actually, what's your name? And now you can start the conversation. So if you're having a hard time with approaching, take the smallest integer of action. There's actually a book called Atomic Habits that talks about this. Take the smallest integer of action. If you can't go indirect, direct, go direct. And if you can't go direct, approach to make a friend. If you can't approach to make a friend, giving passing compliment. Now, if you can't give a passing compliment, then you're a bitch.
No, then just do some cocaine and you'll be good.
Yeah, drugs, do drugs.
And drugs is the next level beneath that.
Yeah.
But okay, so you need to think of this fear and anxiety as basically putting you in a jail in your own mind is what it's doing, and you're locking the key. That is what anxiety does. So if you think of in terms of dating, in terms of all the potential success you could have with women, in terms of meeting a high quality girlfriend, in terms of getting laid, whatever it is, that fear and anxiety locks the door and makes all of that impossible until you face that anxiety head on, right? That's what happens. And the great thing is that the best feeling in the world, possibly the greatest feeling in the world, other than sex without a condom, is that feeling that you had a fear, that you were held in that jail cell in your mind, and that you got out of it, right? It's overcoming your ego. It's overcoming your fears. It's facing them. There is no better and more liberating feeling on this earth. And when you realize that, then this idea of picking up women, it's not like, oh, I'm slaying a dragon. It's this huge stressful ordeal. It is something that you can look forward to because you realize that you are going to get out of your own way. You're going to destroy your ego, and you're going to become a version of yourself that not only do you have more opportunities, but you get the best high, other than maybe meth, the best high on the planet.
You're talking everybody into doing the worst things. We're trying to talk them into doing the best thing for them. Then we're like doubling down. Sex without a condom, meth, with approaching and whatnot. Look, you got to look at it this way, okay? This isn't supposed to be easy. None of this is supposed to be easy. Game is supposed to be hard. And thank God it's hard. You know why? Because those pussies out there, I've seen too many of them. Those pussies that are out there trying to game. Thank God they can't get into shit because it's too hard for them. Either you came into this because you have no choice but to be here, or because you're strong. I came into this because I had no choice. I'm in this because I had no choice. It was this or death. It was like this or death. I wasn't like somebody that believed in himself. I was somebody that thought that I had no chance of ever figuring this shit out. I don't know where AG came from. I have an idea.
Oh no, it was harsh. I was so bad with women. One day I bought a gun. And I realized life isn't. I'm just kidding.
all right, Johnson, chill.
Okay. I had a really good point I wanted to make.
So if you're having a hard time approaching, I know how difficult it is. Do not give up. There's always an answer to your problem, okay? If you go out day after day and you find that there's nothing that you can do and you feel like you're hitting your head against the wall, it comes down to creative thinking. If something doesn't work, try another thing. If that thing doesn't work, try another thing. I'll say this, there's been so many different things. So for example, messaging on dating apps, there are times where like I'll send a message and the message doesn't get like a response. I'll send it maybe like 6 times and realize it doesn't work. Then I'll try something new. 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 Then I find something that actually works. And I know that works. In the same way with going out and cold approaching, if one thing doesn't work, like if something I say doesn't work, try something he says. But if something that doesn't work with cold approach, try something new. Everybody has their own strategy to get in the zone. If you find something that works for you to allow yourself to approach, get yourself in that place, do it. I
have a disease.
Yeah, you have no idea.
Pretending to have a seizure, shit like that.
When I'm warming up, this guy over here is the most awkward person to be with when I'm out of it.
That's why. That's what makes it funny.
He kills me, honestly.
Okay, one point to leave on that I want to bring up is keep in mind that in life, anything that makes your life shittier as a whole in the broader picture is easy. Everything that makes your life garbage is what's easy, always. Yeah. And anything that makes your life good as a whole is going to be difficult. It's the things other people don't do because that makes it have value because other people are unwilling to do it. So pickup falls into that category. Yes, it's difficult, but it makes your life better. And keep in mind the benefits of facing your fear with women. It bleeds into every other area of life because I would have never been willing to make a business where I'm now making decent money. I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't have the confidence that I got from pickup, right? It made my stress and anxiety levels lower. It made my, hanging out with family in the past before pickup, I couldn't even do that. I was like, oh, what if I say the wrong thing and they don't like? That's how I was. And now I can actually have fun just hanging out with friends. Like it makes every area of your life better when you do something that is challenging. And that is why it is worth facing your fear with women.
Damn, okay. Gang. That's honestly pretty good.
Oh, so now it's sell boot camps maybe?
Yeah, sell boot camps.
I mean, honestly though, if you're stuck, the easiest way to get over that is to get in-person coaching, right? If you're stuck with that fear and you've been thinking about this for a long time, you want to do it, but you're dipping your feet in the water, you're not really diving in. When you take a boot camp, you no longer have an option to dabble. You don't have an option to, I'm going to go out one time every 3 months. You can't do that because we're going to push you to do, on average, it's about 100 approaches on the weekend. Unless you're too busy getting laid, then you might approach less but that's a good reason.
Yeah.
So if this is something you're struggling with, and you value your time more than the financial investment, right? You value saving potentially years off your learning curve, then click the link below to learn more about our in-person coaching.